Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Right, before the days of the glossy and sleek Marvel Cinematic Universe, and indeed DC, those of us of a certain age will probably remember when our beloved superheroes, as they are today, were not quite so glamorous as they were when we saw them either in some made for TV movies or indeed television series. So, the first one I'll start with is our green skinned hero, the Hulk. Now, way before the movies came out, obviously, we've had Edward Norton play the Hulk, we've had Eric Bana play the Hulk, and now we've got Mark Ruffalo playing the Hulk. So, before then, way back in 78 to 1982, 5 seasons, 80 episodes, we were treated to the Incredible Hulk, played by the 2 times Mr. Universe winner, Lou Ferrigno. And playing the non Hulk side of him was a wonderful actor called Bill Bixby, who'd been in a television series originally called The Magician. Now, the Hulk was wildly successful. It really was. I mean, I remember watching it religiously every Sunday. It was fantastic here in the UK. And it spawned this whole craziness, really, amongst children of a certain age, which included me, of wearing your dad's oversized shirt and rolling your jeans up to your knees to try and emulate our green skinned friend. And of course, you had the obligatory pose of getting angry, which the Hulk did by looking rather like he was constipated and was desperate to go for a poop. But the Hulk was excellent. It really was. For a television series, there was nothing like it. So the Hulk that we know and love, or the Hulk that we knew and loved, maybe, to be more accurate, will always be Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby. Now, he was followed incessantly by this reporter called Jack McGee, who was, he just hounded in Bill Bixby and a David Banner, shall we say, every episode. And there are famous lines in the Incredible Hulk, such as, "Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." It was wonderful. And then at the end of the episodes, poor old David Banner would be walking down the highway, wherever he's going to end up next, hitching a lift to the theme of what is termed as the Lonely Man, which went something like do 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 do. Anyway, enough of that from me. But yes, the Incredible Hulk television series. Do you remember it? Wonderful stuff. Right. Second series that aired from 1977 to 79 was The Amazing Spider-Man, simply entitled originally Spider-Man Pilot Movie. Now, it starred Nicholas Hammond as Peter Parker. The costume was pretty good. It was considered a success, this limited TV series, as it only had 13 episodes. But I remember it fondly. Obviously, there was no CGI there, so, some of the stuff was, the effects obviously limited by the technology we had in 77 to 79. But he did manage to climb up walls, etc. But unfortunately, for The Amazing Spider-Man, it didn't last that long in reality. There was a distinct lack of, supervillains. And let's face it, with Spider-Man, you've got to have your good dose of supervillains, because without them, it just becomes sort of the daily, well, I'm going to save this person from being mugged, etc., which I'm not saying is a bad thing, because it isn't, But at the end of the day, as Spider-Man fans, we like to see the time honored and tried and tested villains, obviously such as Electro, the Sandman, Green Goblin, etc., etc. So yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man. Do you remember that with Nicholas Hammond playing Peter Parker? 77 to 79. Yeah. Okay, we now have our lovable Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth with the plots of the movies, but needless to say, there were three of these films released. Two were in 79, one was in 1990. The first two in 79 starred Reb Brown as Captain America. The first involved a neutron bomb, i.e., Captain America manages to stop it from being activated. The second one, it's got obviously it's got Christopher Lee in it to add some sort of gravitas as a villain. Obviously he played Salamanca in The Man with the Golden Gun, our three nipple villain. But anywho, it didn't seem to help much, to be honest. So those films were not successful, and neither, unfortunately, was the 1990 offering, which starred Matt Salinger. Now, this, was a film that effectively saw Captain America against his nemesis, the Red Skull. Now, I did look at some of the stills of this film, and I've got to be honest, I know obviously the makeup wasn't as amazing way back then, but I've got to be honest, I thought the Red Skull in the 1990 film looks pretty terrifying, actually. So, yeah, I like the idea that the villain was suitably scary. However, to cut a long story short, Captain America, prevents a ballistic missile being sent to blow up the White House. It ends up buried in ice in Alaska. Steve Rogers is, unfrozen. He encounters Red Skull again, defeats him, etc., etc. But anywho, those three films, yeah, didn't receive very good reviews. It starred, as I say, our wonderful Captain America, Steve Rogers. But of course, he went on to greater things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And, he is the character that we all know and love today. So, yeah, Captain America. Right, finally, a 1978 made for TV movie, Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange aired on CBS between 8 and 10 p.m. It was the same network that carried The Incredible Hulk and The Amazing Spider-Man. And it failed to make the grade to be made into a TV series. Now, I remember watching this as a kid, and I got to be honest, I tend to agree with the critic who said that this movie was as boring as a medical procedure, because I do not remember anything about it, really. It's just, it was bad. But anywho, Peter Hooton played Doctor Strange. And we have a character in this film called Morgan Le Fay, and an evil entity tells her that she's been prevented from breaking through to the earthly realm by a great wizard, that she has 3 days, to defeat the wizard and win over a successor to her master's side. So that's the start of it. So a woman called Clear Lake is possessed. Do you know what? I'm not even going to read through it. Check it out on Wikipedia. I mean, it's really long and convoluted. I mean, But all I can say is that the Doctor Strange that was portrayed in this 1978 movie, I'm afraid, if you're into retro TV and you know of Jason King in Department S, he looks rather reminiscent of him, I thought, actually. I think, though, Jason King had a bit more success than this version of Doctor Strange did. But it was described as a rather over-the-top campy movie, committed performances by the actors, but ultimately totally boring. And I have to say, if I read this script, I'd fall asleep. You probably would too. What can I say? there is nothing to say apart from let's stick with Benedict Cumberbatch. He is the correct and rightful heir to the character Doctor Strange. Right, thank you for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, if you want to, and I will see you again. So thanks again. Appreciate all your support. You know, whether you're viewing in the tens, 20s, 50s, hundreds, thousands, whatever. But thank you nonetheless. And I'll see you soon. Bye bye.